guys, I'm Regina T with Regina T Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about your streamer name. Now, as some of you know, I use my actual name. Like a lot of other streamers out there, that is becoming a really common trend now, is to actually use a name that is your own. Not everybody's names are unique. Now, of course, mine is Regina, and that's not a super common name. It is becoming more common, strangely enough, but there's few enough of us out there that are doing content creation and other things like what I do that I can actually use that name for a brand and not have any issues. So let's take a look at pros and cons and a couple of suggestions when it comes to naming and branding. So before we get too far into this, keep in mind, I am a content creator. This is just my opinion on the situation. And it's not to say that any one of these names is necessarily bad or good or vice versa. It's just my thoughts on some of the changes that could be made. Now, finding a name that works for you as a content creator, you have to both have a connection to it and be able to brand it. So I originally started out with One Cold Killer. Now, when you look at my name, of course, One Cold Killer, it's not easy to spell. It has letters and numbers and an underscore in there. And although everybody was able to read it, they knew what it was, it still got a little weird and still is a little weird because some of my stuff is still connected to that since that's what I started out with. I streamed under that name and was doing content creation with that gamer tag for about 6 months before I decided it just wasn't me. I was struggling a lot to brand it and create something that I actually really enjoyed. I was no longer enjoying the thought of everybody thinking, one, I was a dude. Because it's a very guy name. And the other problem I was running into is with branding. I couldn't come up with a gamer logo that I really liked. I was having a hard time on Twitter with it. It just wasn't fitting me. It wasn't fitting my personality. Now, it is my gamer tag. It is still my PlayStation name. I'm never changing that stuff. It's my name on Steam. But those things, when it comes to actual branding and kind of putting myself out there and, being comfortable with it, wasn't something that was working. And that's something you have to look at. Now, if you change your name, every 6 months or, as often as you change your underpants, you're going to have problems. And I know there are some out there that do that. And for some, it might make sense. You might have to go through 2 or 3 names, but keep a name for about every, try it out for, let's say 6 months or a year and see what you can come up with it. It takes effort. You're going to have to put in some actual effort when it comes to naming. Now, with me, again, I use my actual name. If you manage to find me randomly, where I live at, good job, you win. I've said it 100 times. I live in a very small area. It is not super common for somebody to notice me out here. Of course, now with my hair, it might be. But my name in particular, it was amazing when I attended TwitchCon because my name, one, fits me, and I'm the only one who has it on all the platforms that I use. My name was transferable between my Twitch account and streaming live to my Twitter account, to my Instagram, my Facebook page, and now my YouTube. So being able to kind of use it throughout those platforms made branding for me so much easier. Now, I did ask Harris Heller the question at TwitchCon, and whether he remembers it or not, I don't really care. No, I'm kidding. I asked him the question because Harris Heller uses his name. There's a couple of really popular partnered streamers on Twitch that use their actual name. They didn't have to come up with extra things. And I asked him, well, how do you brand this? Like, I'm having so many problems. And I had just really started using my actual name. And I think one of the greatest things he kind of told me was just to stick with it, because he saw my name on my badge and knew exactly who I was. He knew who I was, that I had been in his stream, and recognized my name. A lot of the people that I talked to at TwitchCon recognized my name. Of course, they're all small streamers. Nobody's huge, they're not Harris Heller level. Um, but being able to have, even normal people walk up and go, "Oh, yeah, I know who you are. I've heard of you," was actually pretty cool. And it wasn't very often because I am extremely small and I'm not super popular. But, that group of the circle that I run in with streamers, it was super cool to have that. So, a couple of examples of names that I probably wouldn't choose includes my actual gamer tag. You can use a gamer tag for your streamer name. There's nothing that says that you can't. It's completely fine if that's what you choose. But there are a lot. Depending on the type of content that you really, really are wanting to put out there, you're going to have to be careful. So one thing that a lot of content creators run into is their names are inappropriate. So if your name has a sexual connotation or could be misconstrued or the spelling's a little wonky, stay away from it. Because in the long run, eventually your audience will change. Eventually you will do a ninja. And Ninja started out, targeting the adult audiences. And then he figured out, oh, wait a second. I am going to need to diversify my content and diversify my audience. So he stopped cursing. He, became more family friendly, became a more family friendly brand, which makes him more comfortable for parents to allow their children to watch. Pokimane is another one. Dr. Disrespect, maybe not so much. But even still, most of his content is not awful. The cursing's a little much for, my 7-year-old to watch, but she can watch Ninja. It's completely appropriate for her age. Now, something to keep in mind when you're actually looking at creating your streamer name or the name that you're going to do content creation under is whether or not you're targeting specific audience groups. So depending on your name, it will almost limit you depending on what you choose. So if your name has something, sexually explicit in it, that is not something that parents are going to allow their children to watch. And there are actually quite a few adults who won't watch you because your name is explicit. Now, that's not saying, that everybody's a prude or, that they won't come by, but it does limit your audience group. One of the greatest things that you could possibly do is to make your name a little neutral. Now, my name is a normal name. Like I said, I use Regina T. There's no connotations about bad, good, or otherwise. It's just a name. It's what I use. It's my actual name. Now, One Cold Killer, it's kind of hit or miss. It is graphically violent, so depending on the parent or, the audience member, they may not be into that. So they may not watch me because of my name. Now, there's one in particular. He's a super fantastic human, and I'm sorry, dude, but I'm going to have to use you. His name is Babymaker. I'm sorry. Long term, that's not going to work. If you're looking at potentially targeting, younger audiences, you're going to have to change your name. Who's that bish? Sounds like a curse word. And depending on how fast a kid says it, it might sound like they're cursing and their parents are going to get upset. So again, not exactly the most appropriate. Of course, depending on, how you choose to brand that could work for you. And if you're only targeting, adult audiences, then that's not a problem. That's the thing you need to keep in mind. When it comes to naming, what is your audience? Where do you see yourself with content creation in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you see yourself even creating content in 5 or 10 years? It needs to be something that you can use long term. Ninja's had his name since day one. Of course, he has a regular name. He's like everybody else. He has a regular name, but everybody knows him as Ninja. That is his brand. He has created this entire world around that name. And that's what you have to be able to do. Regina T is my name. It's my brand. It's, of course, not easy because, I mean, what mascot am I going to come up with? Am I going to create an esports team? Am I going to, use a logo like most streamers do where, it's more of an esports logo? The answer is actually no. After looking at it and contemplating it and going through it and, stressing over it and racking my brain, I actually settled on nah. My logo is a crown. Regina in Latin actually means queen. If you look at a couple of different currencies, it says Regina on it. It actually means queen. So my logo is a crown. And, eventually I'll probably add some of those things to, costumes and super fun things every so often. But for now, using the logo that I currently use, I really love it. Oh my goodness. I love my logo now. And I made my logo. It's for me. It's mine. It makes me happy and it totally suits me. um, it's just one of those things that suits me. Now, of course, people who are really close to me don't call me Regina. The people really close to me have other nicknames for me. Reggie is off limits, though. If you call me Reggie, I might hit you. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't actually do that. But, you need to be able to think long term when you're looking at your name. Now, when you first start out and you're going for affiliate and you're kind of dinking around and you're not really sure and you're trying to get into the vibe, okay, cool. Use whatever. But you need to be thinking long term. Don't think short term when it comes to streaming because the environment is changing constantly. The environment of content creation changes every single year. Every single year, these companies come up with incentives or they take something away or there's more of us. There are so many content creators and influencers out there now that the actual marketplace for most of us is just insane. The competition is insane. And you need to be able to set yourself apart. So your name has to be appropriate, it has to be unique, and it needs to be brandable. And branding is something that I think every streamer and content creator struggles with. It's not something that comes easy. There is no one size fits all. There is no handbook on this, on how to do this. I mean, there might be somewhere. You can use some business advice when it comes to branding a business because this is a business. For me, it's a business. And the more that I go through it, the better things get. So with, your name and, different aspects of doing names, use some generators, tweak some things out, talk to friends in your community, talk to other streamers, chat with other content creators, get in discords and, have those conversations of, is my name working? Is my name, going to be something that people remember? Can they spell it? Because if they can't spell it, they're going to forget you. And they're not going to be able to tell your friends how to look for you. XQC. Everybody knows how to spell that. Shroud. Everybody knows how to spell that. Summit G1 or 1G. Everybody knows how to spell that. Ninja. Everybody knows how to spell it. Pokimane is a little hit or miss, but it's pretty obvious how to spell it if you sound it out. So you need to be able to spell it. Is it brandable? Is it appropriate? Who your target audiences are. You need to think about those things. Maybe not right away, but within at least the first 6 months of you starting content creation. For your name, don't forget to use some of those generators that are out there. Those can be really helpful. Throw some ideas out there. Ping some stuff off of other people. Don't think you're alone in the whole naming game. And just keep it appropriate. Like, that is the biggest piece of advice I could give you, is keep it appropriate. I will catch you guys on the next one. Don't forget to catch me live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on twitch.tv/Regina T. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I know I say that every time, but hit like and subscribe. If you want to see more videos, hit that bell and then you'll get, the alert that I had another video go up. But until the next time, keep on streaming.